Hi, welcome back to Concept Mastery Primary 4, and this week we are doing area and parameter. So it's a continuation of Primary 3. At Primary 3 level, we should have done area and parameter. So when we come to P4, we are still doing the same topic, but the problem will of course get a little tougher. So before we start the lesson, you have to revise. How do you find parameter? The formula. So what's the formula to find parameter? You have to understand, remember the formulas, because if you do not understand or remember the formulas, then you won't be able to solve the problem. So to find parameter, you have to remember that it's length plus breadth plus length plus breadth. So what is length plus breadth plus length plus breadth? Now the length is the longer side of the rectangle. The breadth is the shorter side of the rectangle. So every time you want to find parameter, you plus. Okay, that's what I will usually advise my students. You plus to get your parameter. And to find area, you have the times. So length times breadth. Okay, so length is the longer side, breadth is the shorter side. What happens if it's a square? Now, if it's a square, do we call length times breadth? Usually, I will call length times length. Okay, so length times length, which is the area of a square. Why? Because the square has what? The square has all equal sides. So all equal sides, I call it the length. Okay, so let's use all that we have learned, all right, to solve simple problems. So square A below has the same parameter as rectangle B. So square and rectangle, all right, same parameter. So what do you know about squares? Very important. People make a lot of mistakes for this kind of question, because they forget the formulas, they forget how to find parameter, how to find area, and so we will run through some of the common mistakes that you will see later, and then avoid those mistakes. Alright, so square has all equal side, alright, all equal side. So how do you find the parameter of the square? You take 8 cm times 4, right, for equal side. But like what I always mention, parameter means you plus. So what I would like to do is, I will take 8 cm plus 8 cm plus 8 cm and plus 8 cm. Okay, so but you tell me, Stone, why not 8 times 4? Can also. Alright, but to help those students who are weaker, alright, those of you who can't do well for area and parameter, so what I will advise you is you just plus, okay, to get the parameter. Alright, then you won't get confused whether times or plus. So the parameter of the square is 32 cm. So let's put down over here P for parameter, which is 32 cm. And this parameter is the same as the parameter of the rectangle. Okay, so let's look at the rectangle. Now, in Primary 4, you will have learned, right, in the earlier months, you will have learned that rectangle has two opposite sides, right? So, and opposite sides are the same, correct? Alright, and what do you call the shorter side? You call it the breadth. Okay, the breadth is the shorter side, and there are two longer side. And what do you call the longer side? You call it the length. Okay, the length. So length, this is the breadth. Okay, so can you find the length of the rectangle? How do you find the length of the rectangle? And this is the part where students forget or do not know how to do. So if you are not sure, then Mr. Ong advise you to write out your formula. Like, how do you find the parameter of this rectangle? You take length plus breadth plus length plus breadth equal parameter of the rectangle, right? And what is the parameter of the rectangle? Which is the same as the parameter of the square, right? Which is also 32 cm. Okay, so we do the long way, right? The longer way, so that you understand, and then when you are better, then you can do a bit faster the next time. So what's the length? Length we don't know. So length plus breadth. Breadth is 4 cm. Length we also don't know. Breadth is 4 cm, and the parameter, you add up all the sides, is 32. So length plus length will give you 2 length. Am I correct? 2 length. Then 4 plus 4 will be 8 cm, and the parameter is 32. So can you find how long is 2 length? So you have 2 longer side, add together is how long? So the 2 longer side, if you add together, that will be 32 minus 8, and you will get 24 cm. So which means that if you add these two longer side, right, is 24 cm. So how long is the length, or what is the length? 24 divided by 2, and you will get 12 cm. Now you can see that there's a lot of steps, all right? But because you are still trying to understand how to do area and perimeter, so I will go through the long way, right, so they can understand. Then of course, if you get better, we can actually cut down all these steps. Okay, we can cut down all these steps, and then we can do faster. So the opposite side here is also the length. So if you add all the sides together, right, if you add all the sides of the rectangle, you have 12 plus 4, which is 16. 16 plus another 16, you get 32 cm. So the perimeter of this rectangle is also the same as the square, right? 32 cm. All right, but the question asks you to find area. So how do you find area? So like what I mentioned, to find area, you have to times, right? So how do you find area? Length times breadth. Okay, to find the area of the rectangle, all right, area you always remember is times length times breadth. So length is 12 cm times 4 cm, and the area of the rectangle is 48 cm square. Okay, and that's how you work out the area. So in this question, you are tested on how to find perimeter of the square, and then after that, how to find one length of a rectangle. All right, to find one length of a rectangle, what do? You take the perimeter of the rectangle minus away the 2 breadth, okay, minus away the 2 breadth, and you get 2 length. And then what do you do with that? You divide by 2. You divide by 2 to get 1 length. And once you get 1 length, you can find the area of the rectangle, which is length times breadth. Okay? All right, now let's go to the next question, and this time we can do a bit faster, all right, since we have gone through thoroughly in the first problem, so now we can go through a bit faster for this second problem. So square X has the same area as rectangle Y. Okay, so can we find the perimeter of rectangle Y? All right, so square X has the same area, so area means times. So you take 12 cm and you times 12 cm, and you get area, which is 144 cm square. Okay, so the area is 144 cm square, and the rectangle also has the same area, right? So the area of this rectangle is also 144 cm square. All right, so again, pupils have they don't know how to find the length. All right, how do you find the longer side? Right, so if you are not sure, what do? You always produce the formula, right? So you take length times breadth, that will give you the area of the rectangle. So what's the area of the rectangle? Which is 144 cm square. So one of the ways to start your steps is to always write out the formula first. Right, same for your primary 5, primary 6, whatever formulas you have learned. Before you start solving, you always put down the formula. Okay, so length times breadth equal rectangle area. So what's the length? We don't know. What's the breadth? 6. What's the area? 144. So now can you find the length of the rectangle? So to find the length of the rectangle, you work backwards. You take 144 and divide by 6 to get the length, right? So 144 divided by 6, and you will get 24 cm. So the length is 24 cm. So now can you find the perimeter? So perimeter means to plus, right? That's what I always tell my students. So the length is 24 cm, and the breadth here is the 6 cm. So to find the perimeter, you take the length plus the breadth plus the length and plus the breadth. So what is perimeter? Perimeter means to what? To add the sides, all the sides of the figure. That is called perimeter. To add all the sides of the figure. All right. So pairing, right? Shortcut. You do pairing. So you have 30 cm plus another 30 cm. So the perimeter of the rectangle is 60 cm. Okay, and that's how you get the perimeter of rectangle Y. Okay, so not that hard. All right, you just have to write out the formula and then use the formula to work out the answers. Okay, let's go to the next one. Okay, now we come to your common questions in the exams. So how do you find the parameter of the composite figure? What is composite figure? They are figures that can be cut into regular shapes, right? Squares, rectangle. You look at this figure, you can actually cut it into rectangles and squares. Okay, but because you want to find the parameter, so how do we find the parameter? All right, there is a very simple way. The simple way is to add up all the sides of the figure. And usually, I will advise you to highlight when you add. So you highlight this side, and you put down 14, right? And always go clockwise, or you can also go anti-clockwise. So you choose which way you want to go. So if I go clockwise, then I must start here. All right, I must continue in the clockwise direction. And what number is that? What is the unknown side? This is your 6 cm, if you notice. Okay, there's a 6 cm, and then you go clockwise. This is your 3 cm, right? And then you highlight as you go clockwise. This is your 4 cm. Now, why do you highlight? So that you don't miss out any sides. And then this is your 14 cm. All right, and then you go up. This is your 6 cm. And then you go and clockwise again. This is your 3 cm. And then finally your 4 cm. Okay, and you can see many numbers there. Right. Another common mistake that students will make is they add all the numbers wrongly. So what I will prevent, or how do I prevent the adding, right? The calculation mistake, pairing, right? You do pairing so that you can do faster and less carelessness. So you have 20 plus 7 plus 20 plus 7. Right, you can see it's very fast when you do pairing. And then you can do some more pairing, right? So 20 plus 7 is 27 plus 27. And then 27 plus 27, you do your working, that will be 54 cm. So what's the parameter of the figure? 54 cm, right? Okay, so that's how you find the parameter. You plus, 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 plus. Okay, let's go to another example. And we're going to use heuristic skills, right? Heuristic skills to find the parameter. So sometimes the questions will get harder. Then what you have learned, all the basic parameter concept, like adding all the sides, don't apply anymore, right? For example, if you look at this question, to find parameter, you add all the sides. But you can see that how to add all the sides when the numbers are missing. So which means that you have to apply something else. You have to apply your heuristics. Okay, you have to think of your methods, your skills and your methods. So how do we find the parameter of this composite figure? All right, so you are going to pull out the sides to form a square or rectangle. For example, okay, let's go through this. For example, this is 15, right? So nothing happens on this side. But if you look at this 20 cm, you pull to the left, it will come over here. And then you draw something similar. Okay, draw something similar. Okay, so that is okay, let me just, okay, so you draw something similar. All right, so that is what you have done. So you pull out this side, you put the 20 cm to your left, and now it comes over here, which is the dotted line. Then you pull this line to the right, it comes over here. And of course, this side, nothing happens. So now you have formed another side. Okay, another side. Okay, clear so far? All right, and then the bottom line, which is your 40 cm, will be something over here. So this is your 40 cm. Okay, so maybe I should put down 40. Okay, and then if you look at the lines over here, can I bring or can I pull to the top? So I pull up to the top, it will go up. And then this line, I pull to the top, it will also go up. And this line, nothing happens, right? So you have formed another side, which is the side of the rectangle, right? So if you look at what you have constructed or what you have done, you have actually created a rectangle. So this is 40, all right? This is 40 cm, okay, 40 cm. And how about the others? How about this side here? This side will be 15 plus another 20. So this side will be 35 cm, right? and opposite sides are the same. So 40 cm, and here also 35 cm. So can you find the parameter of this figure, right? Of this figure. So if you add up all the sides of this composite figure, you will get what's the parameter. So 40, all right, look at the rectangle that you have constructed. So you have the 40 plus 35 plus 40 plus 35 again, right? So again, parameter is plus, 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 plus. So you add all the sides of the rectangle, and you will get 150 cm, which is the parameter of the rectangle, which is also the same as the parameter of the composite figure. Alright, so this is how you pull out the sides to form a rectangle. Sometimes you can also pull out to form a square sometimes. Alright, so okay, so that's how we use the heuristic skills to solve this problem, which is a little harder. Why harder? Because there are numbers that are unknown. Alright, like for example, do we know the number here? We are not sure. Do we know the number here? We are not sure. How about this number here? We are not sure. So how are you going to add if you don't have the numbers? So, but if you join them all together, you join all these question marks together, they will form, or they will get you 40 cm, right? Okay, so let's go on to the next one. So now we look at area. So again, we are going to use heuristic skills, right, to break up the figure into regular shapes, your squares and rectangle. So if you look at this composite figure, how are you going to find the area? So what we do is we can break this composite figure into as fewer shapes as possible. Now, if you're going to break up like this, nothing wrong, okay? Using dotted line, you're going to have 3 shapes. It means that you will have 3 steps, or you have 4 steps. You have to find the area of each rectangle and then plus them together. But we don't want to have too many steps. What we want to do is we want to break up into as fewer shapes as possible. So how do I break up? Break up this way. Okay, so you have one rectangle on top, one rectangle below. So can I find the rectangle, the area of this rectangle? Yes, I can. So you take length times breadth. Remember your area. Area is, so if you are not sure how to do, always start with your formula. Area of a rectangle, length times breadth. So what's the length? The length is 8 times 5. You get 40 cm square. And this is the area of the rectangle. Okay, how about the bottom? Now, how do you find the area of this longer rectangle? So you have to find the unknown sides. Okay, so this rectangle, what is the length, which is the longer side? So you look carefully. You have 6 plus 8 and plus 3. So that will be 17 cm, which is the length. Okay, the length of the longer side of the rectangle. So what's the area of this rectangle? So length times breadth. So area is always times. So 17 times 7, and you get 119 cm square. So this is the area of the longer rectangle. So can you find the area of the whole figure? So you plus them together. So 119, and you plus 40, and you get the area of the whole rectangle, which is 159 cm square. And that's how you apply your heuristics to solve this problem. You cut the composite figure into regular shapes. So when you go to Primary 5, triangles and circles, it is going to be the same. You have to break up a composite figure into regular shapes. Then you find the area of each regular shape, and then you plus them together. Okay? Alright, let's go on to another heuristics. Alright, so sometimes when we have a concept lesson, I may just introduce to you a few common methods, a few heuristics. But to learn all these heuristics, you have to attend lessons. Okay, attend lessons to learn all the other heuristics. But otherwise, sometimes I may bring in some heuristics so that you are able to solve the problem, right, when you do your homework. Okay, let's go to next one. Now, how do you find the area of this composite figure? So beside cutting or breaking into regular shapes, I can also create a rectangle or a square, and then I take out those parts that I don't want. So if you look at this composite figure, can I create into a rectangle? Yes, I can. And I would like to draw a dotted line to create a rectangle. Then what do? I find the area of this whole rectangle, and then I take out what I don't want. I would like to take out this part which is not part of the figure. So I will remove this area. And then after removing this area, I will get the area of the composite figure, right? So that's also another method to find area. Okay, so let's find the area of the whole rectangle. So after you created a rectangle, all right, this is how it looks like. Okay, this is the rectangle that you have created. So what is the area? So you have 6 plus 15. This is 21 cm. Then how about the other side? 5 plus 7 plus 5. That will be 17 cm. So the area of this rectangle is 21 times 17. So what do you get? You will get 357 cm square. Okay, then I want to find this unwanted area. So this unwanted area is how many? So if you look carefully, you take 21 and you minus 6 and you get 15. Yeah, 15 cm, which is the length of the blue color rectangle. And of course, the breadth is 7, right? So the area of this unwanted part is 15 times 7. Area means you have to times length times breadth. So what's the length? Length times breadth. Okay, so always remember to find area, you always have to times. And you multiply, you will get 105 cm square. Okay, so what do? I take out what I don't want. Take out means you minus. So you take 357 cm square, take out minus 105 cm square, and what will you get? So 357 minus 105, you will get 252 cm square. So how does it look like? Okay, this is how it looks like. So when you take out, it will be something like this, right? So you created a rectangle already, and then you remove. Take out means take out this rectangle area that you don't want, and then you will see that, what do you see? You will see that you will get the area of the composite figure. And how does the composite figure looks like? It looks like this after you have removed what you don't want. Okay, right? So the area of this composite figure will be 252 cm square. So lesson here, create a regular shape, right, which is a rectangle, can also be a square, and then you take out the unwanted parts. Okay, all right, now let's go to the last part, another heuristics. Okay, a very important heuristics here to solve harder questions. So the figure is made of 5 identical rectangles. The perimeter of the figure is 80 cm. So find the area of each small rectangle and find the perimeter of each small rectangle. All right, questions gets harder, then the more we have to think about our methods, our heuristics. So if you look at this figure, all right, you can't find perimeter. There's nothing you can use to find perimeter. There's nothing you can use to find the area, right? You only know that the perimeter of the figure is 80 cm. That's all you know. And then how are you going to find the perimeter of the rectangle and the area? All right, so lesson here, look for equal parts or look for identical sides, identical parts. Can you see the identical parts, which is here, here? All these parts are identical. What do you call them? You call them units. Okay, units. So you have 3 units. And if you notice carefully, the length of a rectangle is made of 3 units, the length. And the breadth of a rectangle is 1 unit. Okay, the breadth. All right, so what's the perimeter of this entire figure? How many units is the perimeter? Now, this is 1 unit, which is the breadth of a rectangle, okay? And this is your 3 units, which is the length of a rectangle. This is the breadth of a rectangle, which is another 1 unit, right? And then this side is your 3 units, all right, because it's the length of a rectangle. And then this is your breadth of a rectangle, 1 unit. This is the length of a rectangle, which is 3 units. Then the breadth again, which is 1 unit. And of course, this is the length of the rectangle, which is another 3 units. Okay, let me just erase the line here, and let me just erase all this. So how do you find perimeter? Perimeter means to add the sides of the figure. So what is the figure? The figure is the entire thing, right? So perimeter means to find the outline, to add or to trace the outline of the figure. All right, this is what you see, the outline of the figure, and then you add up all the sides. So what is the perimeter of this figure if you add up all the sides? So you have 5 units, which is the length of the entire figure, then plus 3 units, which is the breadth of the entire figure, then plus another 5 units, another 3 units. So if you add them all together, that will be 16 units altogether. So the perimeter of this figure is 16 units, which is also how many cm? Which is also your 80 cm, right? So your 16 unit is also 80 cm. So your 1 unit must be 80 divided by 16. So your 1 unit is 5 cm. And you can solve already, right? You can see the perimeter of the figure is 80 cm. So if 80 cm is the perimeter, then the 16 unit, which is also the perimeter, is equal to 80. So 1 unit is 5. All right, so what is the area, or what is the area of a rectangle, all right, of one small rectangle? So let's find the area. Can you see the length of a small rectangle? That is 3 units. So 3 units will be how many? Okay, let me just erase something. Okay, okay, right. So what's the length? What's the length of this rectangle, which is 3 unit? So 3 unit will be 3 times 5, or 15 cm. So the length is 15 cm. So let's put down 15 cm. So this is the length. So what's the breadth of the small rectangle, which is 1 unit? That is 5 cm. So what's the area? What's the area of a small rectangle? Then you have to times, because area means times. So 15 cm length times breadth. And you will get 75 cm square, which is the area of one small rectangle. Alright, what's the perimeter of a small rectangle? So how do you find the perimeter of a small rectangle? Okay, let me use a different color. Alright, so to find perimeter, it means that you have to add all the sides. So let's look at this rectangle. So 1 unit plus 3 unit, that will be 4 units already. Then plus 1 unit, that's 5 unit. And then plus another 3 unit. So 1 unit, 1 unit, 1 unit. So what's the perimeter of this rectangle? So you add all the sides, that will be 8 units. Am I correct? So the perimeter of this rectangle is 8 units. So 8 units will be equal to how many? So if 1 unit is 5 cm, so 8 times 5 cm, because 1 unit is 5 cm, so 8 times 5, that will be 40 cm. So the perimeter of one small rectangle is 40 cm. And that's how you solve the problem. Alright, so what are the heuristics that you have learned for this concept lesson? Number 1, you break up a composite figure into regular shapes. And number 2, you create a regular shape and you remove unwanted parts that you don't want to find the area. Alright, and also we also learned about how to find perimeter of a composite figure. You can pull out the lines to form a rectangle or a square. And lastly, look for equal parts, right? Look for identical parts, and you make units out of these identical parts. All right. So the heuristics are the methods that will get you to score more marks in the harder problems. So so these concept lessons are to help you to have a good pass, right? To pass your paper. But to do well, right? To do well for your exam, especially the harder problems, you will need more than your concept. You will need to know your methods and your heuristics. And once you know all these, then there's a higher chance to do very well for your exams. Alright, so we come to the end of our concept lessons. Alright, so in the next coming lesson, we'll be doing some more concepts. Alright, we will soon be moving to Primary 5. Alright, so so stay tuned for next Thursday or next Tuesday, and then I will see you on the next Tuesday lesson.